If you walked into the woods in Europe 200 years ago and came face to face with a wild red fox, your options were pretty limited. Freeze, run, disappear. Wild foxes are solitary, hyper-vigilant, ghostly creatures built to stay hidden. They have a snout as thin and pointed as a needle, designed specifically to snap shut on a field mouse in a fraction of a second. Their hearing is so sensitive they can hear a rodent rustling under 3 feet of snow. This animal wanted absolutely nothing to do with humans. It was a ghost. And yet today, if you walk through London, Bristol, or Glasgow at 3 a.m., you won't see a ghost. You'll see an animal sitting on the hood of a car, staring you dead in the eye, waiting to see if you drop a slice of pizza. Wild predator to city trash scavenger. Complete accident. Here's how it happened. But before we get into the mechanics of it, there's a piece of evidence from a study published in 2020 by researchers at the University of Glasgow that finally proves exactly how this shift is playing out. And it involved analyzing 274 red fox skulls. What they found inside those skulls is genuinely one of the most unexpected things I've come across researching this topic. We'll get there. First, the world these animals lived in together. In the last century, cities exploded in a way that completely changed the landscape. Humans built massive urban jungles of concrete and steel, and with them came a mountain of waste. Without intending to, we created a massive, free, calorie-dense buffet. Trash cans, discarded food, fast food, and pet food left on porches. And the red foxes found it. Not because humans invited them, but because humans had completely unintentionally created the most attractive food source in the region. And the foxes showed up. Here's where it gets interesting. Not all red foxes are equally brave. Some are bolder, less skittish around humans. Some are more cautious, more likely to run at the slightest sound. In a natural forest, that variation doesn't matter much. But the moment foxes started hanging around urban areas, it mattered enormously. The timid ones stayed far away and missed out on the food. But the bold ones stepped closer. They learned that cars aren't predators, garbage bins are treasure chests, and humans are mostly harmless. Those animals ate well. And they had offspring. And those offspring inherited whatever made their parents slightly less fearful than the average wild fox. This is the commensal pathway to domestication. The animal isn't actively recruited. It recruits itself by showing up somewhere useful and being just bold enough to survive doing it. This is exactly what happened with cats in grain stores. Exactly what happened with wolves at the edge of human camps. And it's exactly what is happening with red foxes in cities like London and Bristol today. Now let's look at that 2020 study from the University of Glasgow. The researchers analyzed the skulls of urban foxes and compared them to rural foxes from the countryside. What they found were subtle but profound physical changes. Urban foxes had developed shorter, wider muzzles. Why? Because they aren't hunting fast-moving prey like rabbits or mice anymore. Urban hunting means tearing open plastic bags and chewing on leftover chicken bones. A shorter, wider jaw gives them a much stronger crushing force, optimized for scavenged human food rather than high-speed snapping. But that wasn't even the most striking finding. The brain case, the part of the skull that houses the brain, was measurably smaller in urban foxes. A smaller brain. In the wild, a fox needs a highly active brain to navigate a complex forest, hunt elusive prey, and avoid predators. In the city, life is simpler. You don't need to outsmart a rabbit. You just need to outsmart a trash can lid. Smaller brains, shorter snouts, and a lack of fear. This is the exact suite of traits known as domestication syndrome. The same evolutionary package that turned wild wolves into domestic dogs. The foxes are essentially domesticating themselves. Today, the relationship between humans and urban foxes is becoming surprisingly close. People leave out food for them in their gardens. They film them, treat them like neighborhood pets, and interact with them daily. Even their facial features are beginning to shift, looking slightly rounder and cuter to human eyes, much like dogs did early in their domestication. But this transition comes with a cost. As urban foxes adapt to city life, they are losing the sharp, wild instincts that defined their ancestors. But in exchange, they are securing a permanent place in our streets. Nobody planned the urban fox. No human looked at a wild red fox and decided to turn it into a neighborhood companion. The urban fox emerged because we made a mess, and they decided the mess was worth the risk. And today, if you walk through a city and lock eyes with a fox, remember, the first fox that wandered into a city a century ago had no idea it was reshaping the genome of its entire lineage. And we didn't either. That's what accidental domestication looks like. Two species finding each other, changing each other, all because of a discarded slice of pizza. If you want to see how other animals are changing alongside us, hit subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you've ever crossed paths with an urban fox. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. And I'll see you in the next one.